Alano-Martin!
One time for Brian, everybody. And Joshua doing such a good job. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you here. You're already checking out the sneakers. I saw you. It's a big 9 in Fort Collins. I busted up my red suede sneakers for you all. Yeah. Underneath these flashy kicks, compression socks with a built-in arch support, okay? Just so we're on an honest note to open with, okay? I have so many things I want to tell you, but before I do that, I want to tell you this very weird thing that happened to me before I left for this trip. I live in Indiana, so before I came out here to Colorado, I had a very bizarre thing happen, which is that I got profiled at Home Depot. Yeah, this old man just rolled up on me and goes, "So, what kind of shed are you building?" I don't like that. Two important pieces of information you need to know. One, I had just walked in the store. I had no cart, no shed building materials. And two, he nailed it. I am building a shed. It's like, damn it, Home Depot Nostradamus, how did you know? I see that beard. You're about ready to write your manifesto. Yeah, so last week I found out I have resting shed face. How are you all? Are you better? I hope. I do appreciate you being out here in yet another peak of the pandemic. Thank you for coming out, supporting live comedy. Regardless, you're out here with confidence. You're out here with like no condom in the 80s confidence, and I like that. And a crowd, yeah. For you younger people, it was called AIDS. It was bad. Okay. Yeah, I'm a controversial comedian. I'll say that AIDS was bad, everybody. I'll say it. The pandemic has been so crazy, right? We've learned a lot about ourselves these last few years. For example, I learned something about myself during the very beginning of the pandemic, the mask era, when we were all masked up all the time for safety reasons. I met several people for the first time during that time. They were masked up, I was masked up, and now I've started to see them without their masks, and that's how I learned that I'm an optimist. Yeah, they're not nearly as attractive as I assumed they were, y'all. This seems to be the part of the face where it goes wrong for most of us, okay? If the eyes are the windows to the soul, this is the busted up cheap plastic Venetian blinds of the soul. This is your first apartment in college of the soul, okay? And I am not throwing shade. I am in the exact same boat, right? I have very pretty eyes and then it gets bad quick. I have hillbilly teeth. Underneath this beard, I have a weak chin, which is immediately followed by a pretty strong second chin. It's like my second chin looked at my first chin and was like, "Don't even worry, bro, I got you." We giggle together, we jiggle together. Bad Boys for Life. Okay. By round of applause, who saw Bad Boys for Life? Who saw the movie Bad Boys for Life? Okay, all right, a few film students are here tonight. Thank you for being here. If you do not know, Bad Boys for Life is the third film in the Bad Boys cinematic universe. And this is absolutely true. Thank you, that is funny. Thanks for taking a second on it, but yes. This is absolutely true. That is the last film that I saw in the theater before the pandemic lockdown. So did I have any regrets these last 2 years? Yeah, one. I had an $18 regret for a long time, guys. It's more of a renter. All right, we'll get to the actual material now. All right, it's fine. The pandemic was interesting for comedians because all the shows shut down for safety reasons, and I'd been a full-time road comic for 10 years, right? That's all I knew for the last decade was traveling around telling jokes, and all that went away, and so I was just rattling around my house, kind of getting in my wife's way, you know? Yeah, some of you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay. Yeah. My wife luckily has the type of job that she could work remotely. They just sent her home with all of her computer stuff, right? She just set up at home with all of her computers, and she's on Zoom calls all day long, and she's still working remotely like that today. She's on Zoom calls all day long with coworkers and clients and stuff like that. It was 6 weeks into her working from home like that, though, before I realized if you are on a Zoom call with my wife, you see her in the foreground, and then right over her shoulder, you can see the door to our bathroom. 6 weeks before I noticed this. Now, I'm very relieved to say that none of my wife's coworkers have seen my dick, okay? Unless, of course, they subscribe to my OnlyFans, you know. Your boy was out of work, come on. Also, it's empowering, okay? But what they have seen is they have seen me use the bathroom like 5 times in a single hour. Right? Because I'm getting older, And I stay up late and do a lot of stress eating. Get up early, drink a lot of coffee. 1 + 1 = number 2. We're all on the same page. I go to the bathroom a lot in the mornings. And I'm surprised we've gone through 2 full years of this happening every single day in the background of her Zoom calls without her getting an email from her HR department that just says, hey, whatever your husband has, our plan doesn't cover it, just so you know. You're going to have to go out of network for that one. I got bored sitting around the house, man. I'm not good with downtime, and so I decided to go get a job. For the first time in 10 years, I rejoined the workforce, right? Which was an adjustment, because for 10 years, my coworkers were comedians, right? And that is a big shift to go from working with comedians to working with actual human beings. It's a big leap, okay? And my second day at this job, to make sure I kept myself in line, I just made a note for myself to put on my monitor, and it just said, your new coworkers do not have the same sense of humor as you. They will not find it hilarious nor endearing. A few days later, I just shortened it to a Post-it note that just said, don't. That's all it said. Every time I was like, hey guys, you know what? Oh, right, thank you, Post-it note, thank you. I decided if I was gonna rejoin the workforce, I wanted to do something good for my community, so I went to work at an after-school program for kids. And during the pandemic, we kind of switched over to being an e-learning site for kids that basically their families were too poor to have internet, right? It was a really amazing organization. I was happy to work there. And I worked there for over a year, and I'm not trying to brag when I say that I would take a bullet for some of those kids. Some is the key word, everybody. If you're not laughing, you've never worked with a lot of children before, okay? If we're gonna be honest, not every child is bullet material. They're just not, right? I was a professional. I treated all those kids the same, you know. It's just some of them is instinct, and some of them it was a job, you know. Some of those kids would run into the street. I didn't even think about it. Boom, right after them, you know. Other kids would run into the street. I'd be like, come here. Hey man, you really cannot be doing that. There's a lot of paperwork if you get hit by a car. My favorite kid at the program is this 8-year-old kid. He was super funny. He made me laugh every single day, but he's also a sticky kid. Always sticky for no reason. It's a type of sticky you can see from across the room, okay? Like he'd walk in, we'd look up from our desk and be like, he's sticky again, okay? Like, I'm pretty sure this child is half salamander, okay? But he's funny. I liked him a lot. His group, the 8-year-olds, they had a service project during the pandemic, which was to write letters to people living in retirement communities that were more isolated than most. It seemed like a really good idea. Seemed like a really good idea. It was not a very good idea. Most of the letters that these kids wrote were just things like, sorry you're old. Like, okay. Get well soon. Okay, good, all right. Say hello to heaven. Okay, we can't send any of these. Only thing we can do with these letters is take pictures with our camera phones and text them to our friends, you know? Be like, yeah, it's a sticky kid. I told you he was funny. I had a very weird thing happen to me while I was working there. One day I accidentally called one of my black coworkers by a different black coworker's name. So I quit. Don't get on Twitter. I'm leaving. Okay, it's fine, guys. I didn't. I wanted to. I felt like that, right? You just make a simple mistake. These two guys are about the same build. They were dressed similar that day. I just glanced up. I got it wrong, right? But it hurts when you do have that, right? You think you're a good person, then suddenly you're like, oh, fuck, am I my grandpa? Like deep down, you know? I did not quit that day. What I did do, though, is every day after that, I did on purpose get one of my white coworkers' names wrong. Just to kind of cover my tracks, you know? What's up, Bob? Shit, sorry, Sheila. I'm bad at names, guys. I'm so bad at names. Excuse me, I have to answer the stapler. I mean telephone. All right. I like to think that I am a good ally. I donate to a lot of causes. I marched last year in the Black Lives Matters marches. I'm on my second interracial marriage. I've done the work, y'all, okay? Yeah. Put in the work. I am on my second marriage. We got a pretty nice mixed crowd here. Has anybody here been married more than twice, like 3 or 4 times? You have, ma'am? This is interesting. Usually there's not a lot of volunteers. You very passively raised your hand, and I like that. Ma'am, how many times have you been married?
4.
4 times. All right.
Twice to the same guy.
Twice to the same guy. You're like the definition of an optimist, aren't you? Like, you're so sweet. That's like somebody who gets food poisoning at a restaurant and just goes back the next day. Like, it's... Bless your soul. Was it back-to-back times, or did you have a little intermission marriage in there between those two?
No, back to back.
Back-to-back. Okay, cool. And so you've been married 4 times, and is your 4th here? Is number 4 here?
No, that was 23 years ago.
23 years ago. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you've been single for the last 20. Okay, cool. Yeah, living life, loving it. I love it. Okay. I do have to ask a question. Are all 4 of them dead? It's like, are you the Black Widow? That's what I'm getting at, ma'am. How much insurance money are you sitting on right now?
Number 2 died.
Number 2 died.
That would be like $800.
Oh, okay. All right. Somebody buy her a drink. She got, actually, she had 3 other husbands, or 2.5. I don't know the math on this. It's getting very confusing, actually. But just staying single now, huh? I got to say, 4's not the record. 4's not the record. I have asked that question before, and someone has topped you. You were very nice about it. You just raised your hand. One time in Indianapolis several years ago, I asked that question. I said, has anybody here been married more than twice, 3 or 4 times? And this woman right up front, right where you're sitting, acted like she had just been called down to be on The Price is Right. Yeah. She was just like, woo! And her finger was pointing at the woman sitting next to her, who did not have the same reaction. Very mad. Well, God bless you. 4 years. So 23 years of being single as an adult woman. You got any tips you want to share with the... Usually we ask people like, oh, you've been married a long time. What do you want to share? But let's share some tips for these single people in the room. What's the best thing about getting older and being single?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm still on dating sites.
You're still on dating sites? Hell yes! Here's the thing: we are recording my set for an album that is most likely going to be on Sirius XM, so we can get you a lot of coverage here. What is your name, ma'am?
Alice.
Alice. And what is your handle on the dating sites? And please let it be filthy. Please let it be filthy.
I don't know. I had one with silver, whatever was gone, so I was a silver squirrel.
Silver squirrel. All right. Yeah. Give it up for the silver squirrel, Alice, everybody. Hell yeah. I'm not going to make a joke about bushy tail, but we'll just move on. That's fine. Should have saved this part for the end of the show. All right. Good. Oh, man. That Indianapolis show where the woman went crazy in the front row was a wild night. That whole night was wild. It was one of the servers at the comedy club's birthday that night. And so they were having an after party at their house, which isn't usually my scene, but I've known the server for a long time. So I decided to go to this after party. And so we get to this guy's house, and it's about like 1 o'clock in the morning, jam-packed full of people, music's bumping, right? And I was at this party for about 20 minutes when I noticed across this crowded room was a man who was way too old to be there, visibly uncomfortable. Not talking to anybody, just kind of creeping everyone out. I was like, ah, fuck, that's a mirror. Time for me to get on out of this party. You know what I'm saying? This is the type of after party I want to be invited to now, right? I want someone to come up to me after this show and be like, hey, man, you want to the after party? Maybe you, Alice, maybe you'll invite me. I don't know. And of course, I'll reply. I'll be like, I don't know, what is it? Well, it's an all-night ice cream parlor with comfortable seating. And everybody there gets to charge their phone. What? I'm in, right? Let me drop my Prilosec. Let's do this. That is how old I am. I have to take Prilosec every single day. I have to take a pharmaceutical-grade antacid so that I will not die. But now that I take Prilosec every day, I'm like, it's on. Midnight nachos? Hell yes. What's that? 2-day-old pizza? Put it on the nachos. I'm invincible now. I love that phrase. When I wrote those two words together in my little joke notebook, midnight nachos, those two words next to each other, I fell in love with them, right? Like, that's as close as I'm ever going to get to poetry, you know? I love that phrase so much that I think when I die, I want that on my headstone with no explanation. Just my name, Matt Alano-Martin, birth date, death date, midnight nachos. And then what I hope will happen is a few years after my death, the local legend will start to spread. School children will start to sneak out of their houses in the middle of the night and place nachos on my grave and make a wish. You know? That's the legacy I want to leave. I did have this very interesting generational experience recently. I had the distinct pleasure of showing two 20-year-olds how to write a check. Yeah. At first, I was like, you Gen Z trash, I cannot believe this. But then I realized, I'm not sure I remember how to write a check. Because I also live in the year 2022. I did not time travel here. You know what I'm saying? Once I realized that, my attitude changed immediately. I was just like, you know what, guys? Let's Google it. Let's find out together. Oh, right. You do have to spell it out. I remember that part now. Oh, man. I've also noticed as I've gotten older that I'm starting to lose my patience. I used to be very laid back, but I have internet rage now. Oh, it's bad. It's like road rage, but with my laptop. And the thing that sets me off the most is clickbait. I cannot stand clickbait. Clickbait drives me insane. It's like, you'll never believe what's killing you in your salad. Just tell me. Don't make me click through 18 pages of ads and be like, oh, cool, radishes. I don't eat those. I'm fine. All right. I had this clickbait thing happen the other day, and it set me off so bad. It just said, it came up my feed, and it said, 23 things that you never knew about the X-Men. And the way I chose to react to that was to go, you don't know me, Internet! I'm an old school comic book nerd. I don't know everything there is to know about the X-Men. Let's see what's what. Click. And then like 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh my God, I never knew that. Wolverine's allergic to lavender. Who knew? I keep hoping one day I'll do that joke and there'll be a hardcore comic book nerd in the audience who just goes, no, he's not. You know? It sounded like we got very close over here in this area. Somebody had a strong reaction to that joke, and I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, sir. I like it, man. You kind of have like off-duty cop look, but you were like, no. How dare you, sir? How dare you say that about Wolverine? My friend Dee says I should try CBD oil for my internet rage. She says it'll chill me out a little bit, right? But she's also a CBD oil true believer. She thinks you should use it for everything, you know? It's like, oh, it's amazing. Helped me with my anxiety, cleared up my complexion. I put 3 drops on my tongue. I could speak Portuguese for a week. It's amazing. And she's hardcore, man. She will not leave me alone about it. She's constantly like, have you tried it yet? You really need to try it. I need you to try it. I've got a coupon. Would you like to try it? There's some in my purse right now. Would you like to try it? And now I will never try it. Because she came too hard and fast like a used car salesman. Pressure, 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 right? And I have this streak in me. It's not healthy, but I have this streak where I push back, right? If you come at me like that, I'm going to push back. It's not good, but it's part of who I am. I guarantee if I'd been alive 100 years ago, I probably would have said this sentence. Oh, really? Miracle drug? Penicillin? I don't think so. Nah, dog, my syphilis is who I am. That is a historical joke. About the time I had syphilis. Okay, moving on. Not much of a syphilis crowd here tonight, okay. More of an HPV crowd? All right. Inside tip, every crowd is an HPV crowd. I realize that the tone of that joke has shifted over the last couple of years. That syphilis joke, it almost makes me sound like I'm an anti-vaxxer, right? And I know with my face, I look like I could go either way. I know, I get that. I'm one of those people that does not need to be introduced as from Indiana, because as soon as I walk out, they're like, Indiana. You know, you guys trail it. I am vaccinated. My mom was a science teacher. I believe in science. So I got vaccinated as early as I could. But I did realize after I got vaccinated, that is the only healthy thing about me. Blood pressure bad. Cholesterol worse. But I got that shot. Like, I need the CDC to put forth a recommendation that every American has a salad, and then a few weeks later, a second salad. And then 6 months later, a booster salad. That's what I need. We're so divided, though. We're so polarized as a country, though, that even if they did do that, there would be people that would clap back online, right? They'd just be like, salads, no, that's how the government tracks you. Think about it, dummy. There's microchips in the croutons. Why do you think they're so crunchy? You know who eats salad? Sheep. All right, I'm done. I have noticed you never meet a chill, laid-back anti-vaxxer. They're all very intense. They're very, like, you never met an anti-vaxxer who's like, hey, whatever you want to do is cool, it's just not for me. That does not exist, right? Like, they're very in your face. I feel like before we can get them on board with the vaccine, maybe let's get them on board with Xanax, huh? Then maybe we can introduce some more science to them if they calm down a little bit. Xanax wrap in the back. All right, cool. I am trying to get healthier. I'm getting older. I'm 48 years old, and so I need to get back to it. I recently joined a gym again, which is good because I've let myself slide like the last 46 years or so. And so you should have seen me as a 2-year-old. I was shredded. It was sick. And it's also vanity. I want to be healthier, but it's also vanity. I'll admit that, right? Because like I have a thing going on that a lot of white men have in their late 40s, which is my butt has disappeared. Like, they've noticed this entire time. Here's for you guys. Like, there's just... It's just like Disney's Tower of Terror back there. Just a drop straight to hell. Like, right? It's nothing there. And I don't like that. And I don't want to mislead you. It was never juicy, sir. It was never juicy, okay? Like, at no point could I make it clap. All right? I don't want to mislead you. But I used to at least be able to make it nod in silent approval. And that's... what I'd like to get it back to. Just one of these, like, you know, like an emotionally repressed father showing, that'll do, pig. Like, that's what I want my butt to be able to do. Oh, man. I did get up early and go to the gym today, and there was this enormously jacked dude, this ripped dude, and he's in the free weight section, and he had the 2 biggest dumbbells there, and he was just doing this. Just pumping those shoulders up and down. Just training for the whatever Olympics. Oh, I just don't care so hard, you know? And I wanted to stand in front of him and ask him a question he could answer with a shrug, right? Hey, man, what's your favorite season of Law and Order? What brand of table salt you like? He saw me thinking of that bit that about 18% of you enjoyed, and so... I'm thinking of the bit, and then I realized he's staring at me, staring at him, staring at me, staring at him. It's very awkward. And so I had to say something to break the tension, and I panicked. I blew it. I was like, hey, bro, how much you lift emotionally? God damn it. We're just doing some Passover for promotion reps, or like recent breakup squats. What are we looking at? My first day back at the gym, I was so out of shape, I could not do a single pull-up, not even one. Not even that one, fellas, where we cheat and we hop first. Couldn't even do that. It hurt my little male ego, right? So I talked about it that night on stage in Dayton, Ohio. And I just asked the audience, I said, is anyone here willing to admit they also cannot do a single pull-up? And this very brave man raised his hand. And then he raised his stump. He was a one-armed man. With an amazing sense of humor. Okay. His name is Ken, and we're friends now. My favorite thing about Ken is that he had a shaved head, so if he really liked a joke, he'd just slap his bald head for applause. As a comedian, If you tell a joke and someone in the audience starts punching their own head, that's as good as it gets. Ma'am, he has to do it to himself. You can't do it for him. Okay. People think I made up Ken for that joke. He's a real person, lives in Dayton, Ohio. We are friends now. And Ken's story is that he had a rare form of cancer that was eating his body. And so to get ahead of it, they amputated his arm at the elbow, right? And Ken's got such heart, such spirit, that after he had the surgery done, he went out and had a bunch of novelty t-shirts made. Yeah. The one he was wearing the night I met him was a white t-shirt with a red blood spray right here. Yeah. And then in really small letters, it just said, "I'm fine." It's the best. That's not even the funniest thing Ken did. He showed me pictures on his phone because at first I did not believe him. But because he had this rare form of cancer, after the amputation, they were sending his arm to a lab in Ohio to be researched, right? To be studied and do science shit too. I don't know. I'm running out of words. I don't know. They were sending it to this lab for research, right? And the week before the amputation, he went to a tattoo parlor and he had tattooed, "If found, please call." He showed me that photo. I was like, "That's amazing." And he's like, "That's what I thought too, but none of these fucking nerds have called me yet." How do you not try it, right? Like, get a burner phone, something, right? He's the best, man. I do live in Indiana. I live in Bloomington, Indiana. It's an interesting place because much like Fort Collins, it's a college town, right? Bloomington, Indiana is a Big Ten college town. So it's an extremely liberal town inside a very conservative state. So our farmers market is amazing. Those two groups getting together on a Saturday morning, it's spicy. You know? This is absolutely true. This is a news story that came out of our farmers market about 4.5 years ago. They discovered that one of the vendors there, this lady that's been selling vegetables at our market for years and years and years, they discovered that she's a member of Identity Europa, which is a white power organization, which means we have farmers market Nazis. Yeah, just think about those words together. Isn't that fun, right? Farmers market Nazi. Like, what is this woman's belief system? Like, no blacks, no Jews, no pesticides, no preservatives. Right? And this is in the farmer's market inside a liberal college town. This is our safe space inside a safe space. This is our snowflake turducken. Are you on board? Okay. If we have Nazis there, they could be all over our community. We don't know. I am in an interracial marriage. I got very paranoid when this news first broke out. My wife and I went out for breakfast one day. The server was a little rude to us. I leaned in, I was like, "I bet he's a Nazi." And then my wife leaned in and said, "You think our server Jamal is a Nazi?" He could be deep cover, I don't know. He just shook us off. There were people on the right that showed up to defend this woman, but it split the left in our town more than anything, because some people on the left thought, hey, she's part of a white power organization. We cannot let her be part of our market anymore. We got to kick her out. Other people on the left said, hey, she's not pushing her hate speech at the market. She's selling vegetables there. You cannot persecute somebody for what they personally believe. I was in the first group, right? I grew up watching Indiana Jones. Nazis bad, right? But I'm willing to... Everybody caught up? Okay, good. Yeah. No ticket. All right, good. All right. But I'm willing to admit I'm not always right on every single issue, right? Maybe there is no harm to this woman selling her vegetables. So I gave it a shot. I went to the Nazi lady and I bought some vegetables. I took them home, put them on my counter, turned my television on to BBC World News Report, left the room, came back in the room, TV is on Fox News. What? Come on. I brought hate lettuce into my house. She's got to go. Okay. I feel some of you tensing up on the racial material. We've got a few more, and then we'll get out of it. I am 48 years old, and the most beautiful thing I've seen in my almost half century on this planet happened last summer during the Black Lives Matters marches, which in and of themselves I thought were fantastic. Showing up for social justice in the streets, believe what you believe in. Yeah, you can clap for it. Thank you. And all across this country during that summer, people just started yanking down Confederate statues. I loved it. Not signing petitions, just like, fuck it, get a chain. Made me happy, right? I think every single Confederate statue should be removed from U.S. soil because first and foremost, those are monuments to traitors to this nation. They do not belong in our country, right? Thank you. Secondly, they represent the worst of us as human beings. We do not need them. I think you round up all the Confederate statues, get them off U.S. soil, just throw them in the ocean, right? But I've thought about that. That's not a perfect plan. Put a bunch of Confederate statues in the bottom of the ocean, you're going to have racist sea life, right? Whole school of Ku Klux Klan fish swimming around. Always coming up to the surface wanting to know, why isn't there a Whitefish History Month, you know? What's that? 3 more? I've got him. Here we go. Little bumper stickers that say, it's halibut, not hate. 2 more. Always getting on your Facebook feed saying, all lives mackerel. That is my favorite. That is my favorite one. And then every June month, they show up like assholes with picket signs that say, God hates rainbow trout. Okay, we're good, everybody. We did it. We got through the tense racial fish punnery. Thank you, everybody. We made it. I am a liberal, but it's not my fault. I went to college and they got me. Those college professors brainwashed me with logic and empathy. What was it going to do, right? But like any belief system, you can take it too far, it's too extreme, right? There are people too far on the left, in my opinion. I was doing shows a couple years ago in Portland, Oregon, very liberal town. I was there for a week of shows, and several times during those shows that week, I would say that I was in an interracial marriage, and people in the audience would woo, which is creepy. Because first of all, it lets me know exactly what their porn searches are, right? You know, like, they're like, yeah, get it, white boy, yeah, you know. I really don't need to know that about any of you, you know what I'm saying? But also, it means that they think that I married my wife for the movement, right? And I'm for social justice, but I married my wife because I love her, you know? It was so bad after one show, this white woman with dreads came up and shook my hand and thanked me for my service. I was like, this is too much, you guys. I'm sorry I dunked on your state bird, which is a white person with dreadlocks, Colorado. I'm sorry. You're not safe here. This ain't Red Rocks. I'm telling the truth. Oh, man. I do like coming out to Colorado. I do like your state a lot. I've been coming here for a long time. I was here back in September doing shows. I was talking to this man after the show. And I'm really into music. I love going to music concerts. And this guy was a big fan of the band Fish. You guys know the band Fish? Yeah. Yeah, of course you do. We're in Colorado. Again, I don't mean to go back to back on these topics for you guys, but here we go. He was a huge fan of the band Fish, and he was telling me all about the shows that he'd seen. He traveled around and seen them. And then he very quickly just pivoted and revealed that not only was he a Fish fan, he was also a bisexual, polyamorous libertarian. I was like, that's a busy resume. Right? And at first I was like, oh, what a complex, unique individual, right? But then the more I thought about it, it's like, no, this all makes sense. Like his libertarianism drives all of that, right? Because as a libertarian, he feels like there should be no restrictions placed on his sexuality, how many partners he can have, or how fucking long a song can be. 18-minute long guitar jam, that's the type of freedom the forefathers intended, you know? And of those forefathers, he would have banged 3 of them. Okay, everybody. It's a long way to go for a 4-4 joke, but we did it. It's amazing to come out here to Colorado just for the people watching. You have natural beauty like the mountains and everything, but also the people watching is fantastic because you have that weed tourism where people come from other states to overdo it. And that is some fun people watch. I saw it earlier this week. I was eating at a Mexican restaurant in downtown Denver, and I got sat next to this very nice couple from Utah who were having their first outing on edibles. And they had overshot a bit. The server brought them their tacos, and the lady just goes, "Oh no!" How do we even do this? Colorado, if you are too high for tacos, you are too high, okay? That is a stoner gift to the Magi situation. Do you understand? They were so high they had to watch me eat my tacos to figure out how to eat tacos. Which is a rare opportunity, so of course I messed with them, you know. I just bit in the middle like a sandwich. It's like, yeah, tacos, one bite, then it's on your lap. Tacos, you guys. I've had some really amazing times in your state. You have an amazing comedy scene here. That's why I love to come here. Not just this club, the Comedy Fort. Give it up for the Comedy Fort. What a beautiful, beautiful room this is. But all across your state, you have amazing comedy scenes. They do this show once a month in Denver called Lucha Libre Laughs. Has anybody ever been? So a few of you have? Yeah. Yeah. It's a combination of professional wrestling and stand-up comedy. It's super cool. Right? Yeah. It's like 10 minutes of wrestling, 10 minutes of comedy back and forth. And because of that show a few years ago, I got to go to an art museum with a professional wrestler, which I highly recommend. If you are a wrestling fan and you're wondering if someone famous, you don't know this guy, he's just an unknown dude, pays his bills wrestling, traveling all across the country. He's like the me of wrestling, basically, you know. But he was a nice guy, and we hit it off, and I love going to museums, so I took him with me to the art museum the next day, and I'm so glad I did, because he was constantly just saying things like, "Bro, this one rips!" It's like, Good eye, good eye. Yes, this mayonnaise does rip. Excellent. My favorite thing that he did, I kind of stepped away from him for a second to look at this one sculpture, and when I came back, he was just staring at this one thing, and he was just like, I mean, I'm not smart, and I don't know anything about art, but I mean, just like, it's just like the number 3. What do you think it means? I was like, I think it means we're on the 3rd floor. The elevator's right there, dude. To be fair, he does get dropped on his head for a living, so. I've been coming out here enough that I'm starting to get won over. I've made some hippie friends out here. I know the hippie culture runs deep in Colorado, and they're starting to win me over a little bit. I'm starting to get on board with the idea of crystals, right? The magic rocks that you power up in the sun, right? Yeah, man. That's fun, right? Yeah. I think the crystals can help you with severe depression, right? And the way that they help is that you buy as many crystals as you can, and then you fill the pockets of your heaviest winter coat, and then just walk into the river. Depression solved. Okay. Not all of you are okay with the Virginia Woolf reference? Okay, it's fine. I know it is a different time, and we do need to kind of put this at the end of that joke. If anyone here tonight is thinking about doing that, please do not do that. Do not get into crystals. Okay, everybody. Just moving on. Also, the other thing, too. Don't do that either. Oh, man. I just got back from Texas. I was on the fence of whether or not to go to Texas because, you know, Texas has always been teetering on the edge of insanity, you know? And then this year they're like, we'll go all in. Like this abortion ban that they passed, bounty hunters for uteruses, too much. I am pro-choice, and I'm very proud that we have a Planned Parenthood in Bloomington. I'm very glad that we have that there to provide a lot of different services. And this is an absolutely true story. Our Planned Parenthood, like most Planned Parenthoods, has protesters that show up every single day to protest, and that's their right as Americans to do that. But in our town, you cannot block the sidewalk for any reason without a permit. So the only place that the protesters can stand is in the strip of grass between the sidewalk and the street, right? This spring, our Planned Parenthood put a little white rope around the grass area and a sign that said, please do not step on the grass. It has recently been reseeded and treated. And it worked. For 6 weeks, the protesters stood almost a half block down. And of course that was going to work because those protesters think that every seat is sacred. It's a little something I like to call stand-up comedy. Thanks for being here. We'll do one more fun one about abortion and then we'll move on. It's at jeopardy right now. Hopefully Roe versus Wade stands. Hopefully some Supreme Court doesn't do what it looks like they're going to do. You know, it's been so interesting in America. Roe versus Wade made abortion legal at the federal level, but then conservative states constantly were throwing up roadblocks that make it almost impossible to get the procedure done within their state lines. So Roe versus Wade made it federally legal. State by state, it really depended, you know. I think an amazing workaround that we could have been using this entire time is in-flight abortions. Right? Because the airspace is federal. That is federally regulated. You could be in an airplane doing donuts above the Alabama state capitol, having your procedure done. Nothing they could do with it, right? I feel like most of you are on board, maybe not everybody, but I'm just saying, I think for $80, Spirit Airlines will do it, you guys. I think. I know. This next one is really going to see how far you're willing to go. It's a little program I like to call Scrapes on a Plane. Too far. This man was not on board with that one. Okay. We're testing the waters. It's fine. I do like Texas. They're messed up. I mean, I'm from a state that's also messed up, Indiana, but we have our fun, you know. I did see some really amazing things in Texas. They have cowboy churches there, which I guess they also have in Oklahoma as well. And has anybody ever seen a cowboy church? Clap if you've seen one. Okay, a few of you. Do they have them in Colorado too? They have them here, okay. Well, in Texas, they're basically just giant pole barn buildings that say the word cowboy church on the side. Is it the same here? Yeah, so it must be like a franchise, I don't know, or something, right? Yeah, it's got that vibe, right? It's very interesting. They're like pole barn buildings, and they say the words cowboy church, and usually there's the same artwork, which is like the silhouette of a horse standing, and then in front of the horse there's the silhouette of a cowboy who is dismounted, who is kneeling in front of the cross. I've never had the chance to go to one, but I really want to. Just to see how far they take the theme, right? Like you open the door and there's a painting of Jesus, but he's rocking a Stetson. Like, come on in. Welcome to Savior Country, you know. They pass around communion, but instead of wafers, it's Texas toast, you know. Like, damn, our Lord is filling. All right. I don't think I need to go to Cracker Barrel after this. I'm good. Preacher gets up there to give the sermon. He's like, lo, and then Jesus took his rope and wrapped around Lazarus and said, get on out that tomb, little doggy. Come on now. And that, everybody's where we get the word lasso from. Lazarus, lasso, lasso, Lazarus. All right, open up those hymnals. Page 213, sing along with me. Save a cowboy, ride a Philistine. Here we go. Some of my jokes are so dumb. The most interesting thing to me about it, though, is that artwork, right? Because the horse, not kneeling. I think it's because horses are Buddhists. I think that horses are Buddhists, right? They live very much in the moment, right? A friend of mine said, you don't know that. Maybe the horses aren't kneeling because they're Jewish. No. There's no way that horses are Jewish. Horses are uncircumcised. And I think we can all be thankful for that, right? I'm just saying, if you ever do see a circumcised horse, fucking run, okay? You're on the Isle of Dr. Moreau, is where you are. I had one of the most interesting experiences in my life happen in Amarillo, Texas. I was doing shows there at the same time there was a classic car show happening. And so every hotel within 100 miles was booked up. So I had to get an Airbnb. And that is how I heard the loudest sex that I or any human being has ever heard. It was so loud that at first I 100% thought they were doing it as a joke. They saw my car pull into the driveway and they looked at each other and said, you know, it'd be hilarious. As if when this complete stranger walked in, if we were murder fucking. Wouldn't that be funny? Just a good old-fashioned scream bang, huh? I put the front door code in. I open the door. It is so loud, I just start giggling. I just immediately like, sex, what? And I giggled my way all the way to the room that I rented, which, of course, right next to the Thunderdome, right? And they're going at it, and I'm giggling. They're going at it, and I'm giggling. They're going at it. And then I stop giggling and start to feel bad about myself. I was like, have I not ever actually had sex before? Is this what it's supposed to sound like? Like, don't get me wrong, I made a few women get loud before, but I've never made a woman go, yeah, 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 yeah. 5 stars, I'll stay there every time, guys. 5 stars. That is the real reason I've joined a gym, is so I can do that joke without dying. So if you see me at Planet Fitness tomorrow on the stationary bike going, yeah, 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 that's... I'm training. That's what's happening. Oh, man. You guys have been amazing. Thanks for coming out. I'll tell you a couple more things to get out of here. One more time up for Brian and Joshua. They were so great starting the show, right? So good. We were talking about this a little bit backstage with some of the staff here. I'm a sober guy. I'm 8 years sober. I just celebrated my 8 years. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. And it's a really good thing for me, but I will be very honest with you. I am almost entirely sober, right? The one loophole in my sobriety is allergy season. Anybody else ride the pink dragon? Yeah. My allergies roll around. It's like one Benadryl for my allergies and one for me, you know? Let's get sleepy. But other than that, I am completely sober, and it's been very good for me. But I did have a weird thing happening. When I got sober, I gained 45 pounds because I replaced alcohol with milkshakes. Yeah. Because physically, your body craves the sugar that's in alcohol, and psychologically, going out for milkshakes kind of like going to the bar. So every single day at 4 o'clock, I would go to Denny's. And I'd have myself a milkshake, sometimes 2 if it was a bad day, you know. I was just getting sober. It was nothing but bad days. 2 milkshakes, a lot of sugar on an empty stomach, so I'd get a cheeseburger and cheese fries while I was there. Bacon bits on my fries, you know I do. Come on. Ooh, chicken tenders, I like those. Let's get a basket of those too. Extra ranch. Every day for 3.5 weeks. 2 milkshakes, cheeseburger, cheese fries with bacon bits, basket of chicken tenders, extra ranch. For 3.5 weeks. Until finally, Emilio, the 16-year-old kid that worked at my Denny's that was usually my server, he just plopped out of the booth with me one day and looked around and said, I could probably get fired for saying this, but I don't think this is good. I didn't know how to tell this child that this was my healthy choice. Like, how dark do I want to make this kid's world, right? I never had a drinking intervention, but I had a milkshake intervention, and it still was rough. I had to face some things. There were 2 things that helped me get sober. First and foremost were good friends. My wife was there for me. Then also I had a bunch of good friends there to help me get through it. One of them was my friend Kit. I've known Kit for almost 25 years now. We used to play in bands together when we were kids. And she was there for me when I was getting sober. And I was very happy to return the favor for her a couple of years ago when Kit transitioned. She started living her life externally as the woman she'd always been inside, right? And she trusted me with that information, and I was honored, you know, and I was there for her. And then earlier this year, Kit had another big step in her journey. She got her bottom surgery. Yeah, she got a fresh box, fresh out the box, y'all. Yeah. Big day for Kit, right? And I call her the next day. I'm like, hey, do you need anything? How'd everything go? Are you doing okay? Is everything all right? She's like, I'm amazing. I feel amazing. I'm sore, but I feel amazing. I was like, do you need anything? I'll bring it up to you right now if you need anything. She's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And then there was a pause. I was like, what is it? She's like, well, my new vagina? I was like, yeah. She said, it came with a manual. And I said, you mean like a new car? And she said, exactly. And then she started laughing, and then I started laughing. It's like, I didn't even think to ask you, like, what's the deal? Did you purchase, or is this a lease? What are we looking at? 3 years or 30,000 dicks? What's the deal? Just spring for the rest-proof coating, I hope? I don't. I'm so proud of her. She's living her truth, but I am worried about her too, because she lived almost 40 years externally as a man in a society that programs men to think and act in certain ways, So I'm worried she's not even going to read the manual. She's just going to be like, I'll figure it out. It's fine. God forbid one day in the future she has some sort of medical issue, and instead of going to the doctor, she just works on it in the backyard with her cousin Ricky, Pays him in a case of beer, Ricky didn't go to school for vaginas, but he's been around him his whole life. He's pretty good. The other thing that helped me with my sobriety was therapy. I'm a big advocate for therapy. I got into what's called a sliding scale therapy. It's pay what you want. It's to make it more affordable for working class people. But that also lets you know how Midwestern I am too, right? Like, I'm interested in mental health, but only if it's on sale. Yeah, I'd love to be a healthy human being again. Let's see if we can't get that price point down a little bit. I talk about it on stage. I think it's important. We did not talk about mental health. Definitely when I was growing up. The closest thing I saw to therapy when I was growing up is that my uncles would get mad about things. They would go out back, shoot beers, or she would drink beers and shoot guns for a while. When they came back in, they were a little bit more chill, right? That's as close as I saw. So I had to Google what type of therapy I needed, and that's how I found out there's all these different types of therapy. It's so amazing, right? Like exposure therapy, for example. Exposure therapy is so fascinating. It helps you with like a primal fear, Like, let's say you're afraid of snakes. Your first exposure therapy session, the therapist shows you a picture of a snake until you can calm down enough to deal with it. And then your next session, you're in a room, and across the room is a terrarium with a live snake in it. You just stay on your side of the room until you can deal with it. Then your next session, you're standing next to the terrarium. And then the next session, you're holding the snake in your hand. And then the next session, you're fucking that snake, yo, yeah! It's a little program called Fuck Your Fears. Get on board, Colorado. Someone just said Jesus Christ after that. Yeah, I've sought out to write the silliest therapy joke, and I think I'm getting pretty close, guys. I'm a big fan of it, though. I have one more story to share with you before I do, though. Thank you so much for being here. We recorded an album tonight, and I think we got it. You guys have been an amazing audience. Give yourselves a big round of applause. You've been so good. In case anyone here tonight drives an older automobile, I do have CDs for sale of my last album. And by rolling retro, come and see your boy. All right. And clearly, I didn't do a single joke off of this. This is stuff for the new record, and this would be a whole other album that you didn't hear. And then also, I made these koozies that say, "This is my healthy choice." So maybe you're sober like me and you're addicted to Diet Coke or milkshakes or whatever, but that helps you get through, right? Or maybe you come to a comedy show on a Thursday night, you have a couple beers, and because you do that, you don't do heroin. That's your healthy choice, right? So I've got these for sale if you guys want. My therapist is amazing. I really like her a lot. Her name's Carly. I do want to give her a shout out. She's a great therapist. And the main thing we've been working on is my relationship with my father. I didn't have much of one. My father was a biker, fighter, drinker, hellraiser kind of dude. Like, I had a lot of uncles who wore colors that had to go away for a few years at a time. Right? My mom knew that was not a right place to raise me and my brother, so she took us one night in the middle of the night when I was about 9 years old. And I did not see my father for 20 years, not until I tracked him down. But when I found my father again, he had become this ultra-conservative, right-wing religious nutbag, which was a bummer. I thought I was tracking down Cool Dad, Like, we're going to get matching Harleys, go to Sturgis together, He's going to finally teach me how to throw a perfect spiral beer bottle at a cop's head, Cool Dad shit. But he was not that guy. When I say he was conservative, he once told me he did not watch Fox News because he found it to be too liberal. So he got his news from weird websites and newsletters that were mailed directly to his house. You guys have just heard me talk about my life for 53 minutes. We did not get along. So I meet this stranger, and very instantly we start fighting. We fight for an hour. That was a mistake. Don't see him for a couple months. We'll try again. Exact same thing. We fight for an hour. go away. Tried a third time, exact same thing. I was like, this is a bad idea. He doesn't want me in his life. I don't want to be in his life. It's fine. We don't need to do this. But then he got sick. He got Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And I don't know if it's like genetically hardwired or whatever, but the guilt kicked in. I was like, I got to keep visiting this dude now, right? And the thing that ALS does first is it takes your voice. You can't talk. So the way we'd visit is I would show up, try to keep the mood light, tell him about what I've been up to. He would write on this pad of paper, and that's how we communicated, right? And in a lot of ways, it did improve our relationship. We didn't fight, right? We kind of got past that, got back to basics. So he's getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and I start a new job. And I can't get time off to go visit him in the town where he lives for almost 6 months. I finally get the time off, and I go visit him, and now he's down to 73 pounds. Skin and bones. Can't even close his jaw, just hangs open. Very hard to be there. Even with our complicated history, very tough. I'm trying to keep the mood light, and he's trying to write on his pad, but he's so weak now he can barely write. And I was like, Dad, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. I brought a treat. Remember how much we loved Ernest Goes to Camp when I was a kid? Yeah, I brought it on DVD. Let's watch it. Let's just hang out and watch a movie together. But he really wants to write something to me. He's really struggling. And it takes him like 5 minutes just to write a couple of words. And during that time, it occurs to me, I'm like, maybe he's going to finally tell me that he loves me? Going to finally tell me that he's proud of me, He gets done. He drops the pen. He's so weak he can't even tear off the piece of paper and hand it to me like he normally would. He just taps the pad. So I reach over and I rip off that piece of paper and I read what my dad wrote. And what he wrote was, fags cause 9/11. Just a little bit of wisdom he wanted this baby boy to take into the world. Not long after that, my father died. Those are my father's final words to me. Now, when this happened, I had not started doing stand-up comedy yet, but I knew that shit was funny. So I used to carry that piece of paper with me everywhere I went in my wallet, right? But then it occurred to me, what if I get in a car wreck? The EMTs are on the scene like, I think he's still alive. See if he has any ID. What the fuck? Put the shit back. He's dead. Put it back. No, go ahead and put it back. Oh, am I standing on his throat? It's cool. He's already dead. Don't even worry about it. So now the piece of paper is at home in my desk drawer with a second piece of paper explaining it, stapled to it 3 times. And I know that's kind of an intense story, and it's a hard joke for some people to listen to, so I just want to let everyone here know, my best friend Jonas is gay. And I asked him, and he said they did not do it. My dad was wrong. Fort Collins, you've done amazing. I've been Alano-Martin. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.